How you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. No complaints. Black History Month, man. We kicking it off. We kicking it off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it worked out.
yeah.
All right, so first, like I said, we wanted to get to know you, Kevin Ross. You're already a heavy hitter in the music industry with some chart toppers from the EPs, especially Drive 2, right?
hmm
But for our readers who don't know you, we just kind of want to get a little bit about your journey from songwriting to performing and how that's brought you to this stage, in your life and your career.
Yeah, I mean, my name is Kevin Ross. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and owner of Our Society Music Group. And yeah, I started off writing. And I started off writing maybe in 2010, 2011. That's when I landed my first placement. That was kind of like how I documented my entry into the music industry. First placement was with Jamie Foxx. And then I actually caught a couple of placements with a couple of OGs and vets. And then I, got a couple of records with other artists, and then I landed a deal of my own as an artist with a major label, and we put out a #1 record as far as the Urban AC. And then I decided that I needed to go independent, and I asked for my release. And I started my own label, and I partnered with Empire Distribution to really kind of be the engine behind that. And yeah, and so we're here 2 to 3 projects later as it pertains to getting to Looking for Love went top 10 as far as that radio, the only indie to go top 10 at radio in a sense of 2021. So it's an awesome feat, not easy, but we did it. And it's all due to God, and just making sure that we meet him halfway. Perseverance, for sure.
I gotta say, I love it just from emailing with your team to talking to you now. You guys definitely have like a hustle mentality. It's like humble, but it's really like y'all are like every step forward is an accomplishment, and y'all are really trying to take them steps forward. That's cool. And actually, you kind of hit on a question. I think I want to go right to that question because you hit on it. Yeah, that you had started off, with the label and went independent, and I'm sure you've had plenty of experience with labels as a writer. Do you feel like it's important to own your work, especially with the single "Looking for Love" being like one of the only indie releases, like you said? What like? Could you tell us more about that journey from label to independent and the importance?
I think the importance is based on the artist, right? Like if you don't necessarily care about having your masters, 20, 30 years from now, and you may be a person that's like, yo, my kids can go and get it themselves, or you may not even want kids, and you just really are you want to receive this high level of fame and success, and you know what I mean, and maybe bridge that into acting or a whole nother thing. Then maybe a major label could be for you. It's how you work it, because there's testaments to how it works, right? But for the people who actually that may take a little more time and pride, and that understand legacy is important to them, and they do want to have kids, and they do want to pass their masters to their kids, and make sure that they have passive income that they don't necessarily have to think about, because the work was already done for them. All they have to do is just till the ground that has already been fertilized for them, right? So for me, that was important because of the way I wanted my life to be structured. So I chose that path, and to say, you know what, I may have to take a road less traveled, or, a road that is going to take me a little longer. Instead of it being a straight shot, I got to go around, you know what I mean, to get to similar destinations. And so I think the most important thing is understanding your worth. Every dollar that comes in, every dollar that comes in from the first stream. And I think that's a beautiful thing to understand, that a lot of, major label artists may not know until they audit their label, right? Until they say, well, wait, I went gold or I went platinum, numerous amount of times, something ain't adding up. So how can I figure out where these funds are? And you go through an audit to be like, nah, like this made this much money and that much money. versus on the independent side, contingent upon your distributor, there's usually dashboards that show monthly what you make, you know what I mean, in each DSP or, iTunes or Amazon or whatever the case may be. And so, those are the things that really attracted me to the independent side is the value, the worth, and you really, tracking down what this record is doing and what that means for your overall business.
Great, because that topic is so high right now, especially with Taylor Swift and like the headlines of she's trying to fight for her masters, but you kind of really hit on like under the surface of that, what that means in terms of legacy and all that kind of stuff. I think that's very interesting and sounds like it's very important. But to stay on your project before we get into more of the industry, I actually rode around. I'm in Atlanta today, and it was a nice day, sunny, and I listened to the TV, and it is actually fresh driving around. I will say I love Wave Runner because it was different.
Yeah.
Had some like a lot of diversity, like a different angle on your sound, so that was great. But you talk about some of your inspiration for the EP, especially as like a producer and a writer, somebody who has so much control, like in the album is your expression.
Yeah, I mean the beauty of it, like the beauty of Drive 2 was that I did have to get lost in order to find the sound, right? Like, so I had to, just kind of play around with different stuff, different ideas, different songs and all this. And then, once you kind of find like a concrete or a staple to say, this is the sound, and you start to accumulate records that kind of fit along with that. You're trying to create a family or a package in a sense, or a mood that, when you listen to it, like you said, when you're riding, you don't want for the vibe to be disrupted. You don't want for the, what I mean, to be like, that was jolting, or that was different. And you know what I mean? Like for you to kind of get out of your flow to like change it because it disrupted your vibe. So for me, that's important, is to kind of make a very consistent project that consists of variety, but also they belong together. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like a real family. Like you can have a very calm, cool, collected person, and then you can have this, you know what I mean, ostentatious, you know what I'm saying, like boisterous person that's loud. They still family, you know what I'm saying? And you could tell from similarities of how they look or mannerisms or whatever. But that's how I view like making a project, and how I kind of came about with Drive 2. Like once I had Looking for Love, and once I kind of tested it on people to say, okay, this is the sound that we're going for this project, I fully committed myself to that sound to, make what people have now.
Great. Okay. So kind of now more moving into like the industry, and I'm a big guy myself, so I'm so excited to be able to talk to you about some of this stuff. But with R&B being such a popular genre, and now it's it's changed so much, and it's blended into so many other genres recently from its popularity. What do you think about that blend into other genres like rap, pop, and even country?
I love it. I love it, truly. Because I mean, it's always been there, right? Like hip hop started with R&B breaks. You know what I'm saying? So like that's their genesis, is off of, break beats and R&B, right? So then, in country and R&B are pretty similar in the sense that we tell stories about love and heartbreak and life and inspiration. It's just with different instruments, right? That really kind of, geared towards a different demographic. But needless to say, they're cousins for sure. You know what I'm saying? You can easily turn, Dolly Parton made And I Will Always Love You as a country record, and Whitney Houston sang it, and it's a goddamn R&B record, ain't it? So you know what I'm saying? Contingent upon who's singing it or who's delivering it, it can very well bend the genre, or make you think twice about, you know what I mean, the messaging and what genres really mean. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And then kind of into R&B, like by itself, it seems like, I mean, it kind of got a resurgence with alternative R&B, and a lot of these, especially a lot of female R&B artists, and her, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
what do you think about like the new wave? And then I kind of want to know where you feel like you stand in this like current era of R&B.
I love how it's resurging. I think we had to take a back seat, and what better way in order for us to heal as a genre than by the hands of women. Women have always been nurturers, been caretakers, and so I feel like these women are nurturing the genre back to a space where it needs to be, and that's necessary. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And it allows for men to sit back and really listen and get perspective too, so that we know how to respond as well to what they're saying, what they need, what their desires are. That's important. And you know what I mean? And so, where I stand in it is, I'm an advocate of artists. I'm an advocate of creators. And I think it's a little too early to really, you know, tell where I am, but what I will say is that I have my I have my bet on what I think I am to the genre. But we'll see what manifests. You know what I'm saying? So so far so good, and what we're doing as far as over here, our Society Music Group, and what we've done on an independent level. And so I hope to really inspire, other young artists to, go out on a limb, have that faith in God, trust, and to execute, and to really move the bar, for the genre, while still being able to make a very lucrative living for yourself. That's most important.
Wow, that sounds like a pitch to get on AMG Records, huh? Right there. What I ask about that, since you did bring that up, is AMG, is that your label? I found a little bit of information about that, but like, is that what you kind of created to then kind of pioneer yourself in your own road in the industry, right?
Yeah. I wanted to create our Society Music Group, founded in 2018, and we didn't put out a record until 2019 or something like that. And of course, I'm the first artist. I'm a crash dummy because it's my baby. It's my, it's my project. It's my company. And in order for me to tell other people that I can help with their careers and make them successful in certain ways, I have to live it. I have to have the experience to tell them, like, oh, I've been here. This may work, but I'm just telling you from my experience that it may or may not work, and here's why, and here's the return, here's the ROI on it. You know what I mean? And just really give them, just straight up facts, more so than just talking in theory. You know what I mean? Or just saying, oh, I work with this superstar. And it's like, yeah, superstars are anomalies. You know what I mean? But I really want to reach, the everyday artists, the artists that are super duper talented, and that they may catch an anomaly, but their whole career may not be built off of an anomaly. But that doesn't mean that they don't deserve to have a great living off of their abilities. And so that's where our Society Music lies, is to say we could take you and you can do the superstar thing, or you can be a great artist and we can cultivate an amazing living for you, and you can live however you want to with the music that you create, because there's money to be made. You just got to figure out where your home is.
Hey, enough said. Okay. So moving on, I would say, as a king of covering songs, you really show your vocal agility. Like I said, you're on Terrell. A lot of people cannot be on that show because you're really out there showing what you can do. And then you've got your mashups and everything else. Can you just tell us some of your like different favorite artists and sounds, especially ones you like to cover? And what do you think makes a great track, especially when that's going to be like sampled and join the culture?
Man, covers are beautiful. Covers, like, I love the fact that, like, all of the greats have had their experiences with covers. Stevie Wonder, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, Shaka Khan. You know what I mean? Like, it goes down the line. So like the ability to cover is a beautiful thing. But that also, it allows for you to look inside of a song, right? Like the anatomy of a song. You know what I mean? Like what makes what makes a hit record, the beauty of it, whether it's, you know, the simplification of the lyrics or the music or the emotion of the strings or whatever. It allows for you to be a student. It allows for you to study. And so, you know, it's all a culmination in order for you to be a better creative. You know what I mean? It's to actually get inside of a song that may not be yours, to fully understand it, you know what I mean, inside and out, become a fan of it, and then, you know, create something that is new or that is a part of you. You know what I mean? So I think that's the beauty of covers, it's the beauty of understanding the science of songs and all of that, and then some.
And then some, for sure. And kind of get into, I guess, a little bit about legacy and Black history. What are some of your favorite artists and maybe some of your favorite maybe types of genres from R&B in the past? You know, you got I want to say like that new age swing or whatever from the 80s, stuff like that. Like, what are some different sounds and artists you like?
Yeah, I mean, you know, of course, Stevie Wonder, you know, Stevie Wonder is like a, you know, he's a freak of nature, so he goes into his own category. But then, you know, you have, you know, you're very like introspective and sensual and emotional R&B, like, you know, Marvin Gaye and Isaac Hayes and Curtis Mayfield, and you know what I mean, so many others. um and then of course you have, you know, people bash disco, you know what I'm saying, but you know, disco has some bops, and they made some cool records too. You know, and of course, like you said, New Jack Swing, as far as within the early 90s. You know, the 80s was kind of like the anomaly decade where, you know, you had a particular sound that was post disco. It was, you know, it was like computer meets live musicianship. So it was a hybrid. And so, you know, you have the birth of, you know, Michael Jackson in a sense of his solo career, and, you know, Prince really hitting his, you know, full stride in the 80s, and Madonna and Bruce Springsteen, and, you know what I mean, so many others. But then going back to, like you said, other subgenres of R&B, of course, neo soul, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that was a really big, I was really big as far as like me growing up and listening to the Music Soul Childs and, you know, Alicia Keyses and the D'Angelos and NDREs of the world. So yeah, that was a really big subgenre as well. And so it just goes to show that like R&B, like it never goes away. It just always transforms, and you know, it morphs into other things, or you know, the subgenres kind of dominate in certain fields, but it's still true to the nature of the genre. So yeah, man, and I think it's beautiful because it's all Black. uh you know, going back to Black History Month, it's like you know, the stories that we tell, the, you know, the look, the style, everything about R&B and hip hop for that matter is become a worldwide phenomenon. You know, they have they have on Netflix called the, what is it called? It's something the effect of something. So they have the Boys to Men effect, right? And so Boys to Men, you know, these four Black guys from Philadelphia become a worldwide success. And so, you know, the powers that be have a great idea to say, hey, if they were successful, what if we just made these four Black guys into five white boys? You know what I mean? And then you have Backstreet Boys, and then, you know, then you have NSYNC. And so, and they made great records. Let's be very clear about that. But the truth of the matter is, and they even said in a documentary, is the fact that this wouldn't have happened without the success of Boys to Men. Even with New Edition, there is no New Kids on the Block before New Edition. So it's as if we are the pioneers. We are the first ones to say, hey, well, let's try this out and see. And once they see success, they'll say, oh, okay, now let's do it in a mainstream format to appeal to the other parts of the country, or the main, you know what I mean? So it's a very interesting take, as far as on how we've how we've affected music, how we've affected culture as far as pop culture for that matter. You know, like every word that we have that we'll use, eventually pop culture will grab a hold of it. And even though they may be like 2 years late, you know, they'll find out about P or pushing P 2 years from now. You know what I'm saying? And you'll see people in E News or whatever, like use the terminology, but by that time, it's like, I'll be off that. You know what I'm saying? Like they still, you know, giving things out away in red carpet, you know, dressing rooms called swag bags. I'm like, we've been off swag bag. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know, that's damn near 10 years old. So our effect on culture is like long lasting. And I mean, it's just saturated now. So it's beautiful.
That's fantastic. That's our Black History piece right there. So also this month for Joe Magazine, we're really highlighting love and like Valentine's Day, like a month of romance, and bringing love back into the forefront, you know, in kind of all ways. So as an R&B singer, I feel like you definitely have a great perspective on love and relationships. So going into 2022, how are you still navigating love and relationships? And what would you suggest to listeners about navigating love and relationships this year?
Damn. Say what you mean. Mean what you say. You know what I mean? Like love now is so passive. You know what I mean? Like it's like in a sense where like even how we speak to one another, where it's like, man, you give me these vibes, like you give me these feels. And it's like, why don't you just say like, yo, like you make me feel great. You know what I mean? Like being around you makes me feel like I don't want to be around anybody else. Like, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, but it's always masked in something. And I think that, you know, that kind of, it sends mixed messages to, you know what I mean, the other person that may be involved, you know, but that's just my take in a sense to be like, yo, say what you mean what you say. You know what I mean? If you feeling somebody, like, it don't matter what anybody else says about it. Like, be into that person. So, you know, like just love bold, love proud. Life is too short for us to be playing around with people's emotions, even your emotions for, you know, for that matter. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you feeling somebody, let them know. Enjoy that time. It may be for a season, it may be for a moment, or it may be for a lifetime. But if you don't put yourself out there, you may never know. And be a cool old lonely person.
So coming to my last question, kind of in that same vein, with 2022 coming up and still being the top of the year, what do you think the year has in store for you, and what can we expect from Kevin Ross this year?
More music for sure. The work doesn't stop there, and I'd say just an extension of my brand. I'll leave it at that, in a sense, to just like scaling my brand and then expanding it. And hopefully I can be able to partner with, you know, artists or companies. We have some things in the works as far as like, you know, who we are trying to partner with. And so, you know, I'm very hopeful that those things come through so that it's not just me, you know what I mean, that's hooping and hollering at ASMG, but you know, people can actually lay witness to what me and my team are capable of doing, and how that can affect just kind of a overall, you know what I mean, change and shift to the music business. So I'm excited.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I don't have any more questions. Well, I can think of all kinds of questions to ask you, but I don't have any more questions. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for talking with Joe Magazine.
Yeah, my guy, man. I appreciate you, man.
Bye-bye.